Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we'll be exploring how to install N8N on a local machine using Docker. For new users, N8N is an open source workflow automation tool that connects application services APIs that helps in automating tasks efficiently. N8N and AI can turn manual steps into smarter, self-improving systems. N8N has both free and the paid version. The paid version comes in different bandwidths with different limitation, and it provides more reliability and security and support as it hosted under the N8N instance. Free version is a community edition that's more for new developers who are onboarding the platform. In the free version, it needs to be hosted in a self-hosted environment, so the user have to manage all the workflows, the keys and the files. So if you are already an advanced user who is deploying enterprise level automations, which is more compliance related and needs more reliable assistance, paid version will be advisable. We'll explore how to install the community edition into a local machine. Although there are different ways of installing the community edition in a local machine, for example, if you are aware of Node.js, you can use an npm installer to install the N8N on your local machine. If you are using Mac OS, you can use the Honeybrew command line for installing N8N. Also, there is a GitHub method where there's a GitHub source code provided by N8N, and you can use the command terminal to install it in your machine. The link for the GitHub will be provided in the description. But today we will try the more simpler or the more easier approach of installing image onto the Docker so that we can run N8N on our local machine with all the features of the paid version. To start the process, we need to first install Docker desktop on our machine. I will provide the link in the description. So if you're using Windows, you can use this link and you have to click on the first button here to install the Docker desktop on a Windows machine. If you're using a Mac, you can use the Mac link to download either of the option based on your system requirement. So I will be installing the Windows version of the Docker desktop. So please click on it. You have downloaded the installer.exe file. You can install the Docker in your machine by following the steps. Please let me know in the comments if you find any difficulties in installing the Docker. Once you have installed the Docker and you open the application, it will look something like this. On the left side, you will see your menu options, and we'll be mostly using containers, images and volumes. I'll be explaining in details as we progress in the videos what are these things and how it can be used to install N8N. Before we start using Docker desktop, I would like to explain the use of Docker, how it's being used, and what is the importance of container images and volumes in this entire process. So just imagine Docker is like a tool that allows packaging an application with everything that it needs to run. So when an application is hosted or is installed or is being executed, it needs libraries, configuration files, configuring the ports, and fixing the error. So Docker solves this problem. It combines everything as a package and provides a platform that helps in running an application from any location. So instead of having it being machine agnostic, it can be used across everywhere. Images are like the blueprint of an application. An application needs dependencies, libraries, application files, configuration, and port setup to run properly. An image helps in constituting all of this in one place that can be hosted on a Docker kind of an application or a tool. Blueprint of an application. As an application needs a lot of configuration files, dependency in library setups, Docker helps in constituting all of this in one place to be in executable format. Containers are the running instance of an image. Each time an image is executed or run, a new container is getting created. In the case of N8N installation, instead of making a new container each time we execute an N8N image, we will be making one container which holds all the workflows and credentials for all the time, so that each time an N8N is executed by the user, it doesn't forget the workflows or the credentials. Volumes is like a hard drive for the Docker. Each time a user makes a workflow or creates a credential in N8N, it needs to be saved somewhere. And volume is the place where it gets saved, because container doesn't have a memory. So each time, so that we don't lose our work and we have our credentials safely stored in a place which can be reused again in the form of a JSON file, volumes are very much important to do this job. So today, while installing the N8N image, we'll go through all of these features, container, image, and volumes in practical. I hope it will be useful for understanding for beginners as well as advanced users. Okay, let's start the installation process. So the first step is to create a folder in our local machine where all the workflows and the credentials will be saved and stored. So please make a folder on your C drive ideally, but make sure that this folder doesn't get deleted, because this is where all your workflows and credentials are saved. I have created a folder under my C drive with this name, and please feel free to customize your name, but this destination won't be changing, so we'll come across to this point, but please make a folder and use it in the process. The next step is, and the most important one, is to download the image version of N8N from the Docker. So if you are using the older version, you have to go to Docker Hub to download the image, or if you're using the newer version of Docker Desktop, you will see a create option here. Since I am in the older version, I will go to Docker Hub. So once you are in the Docker Hub, just search for N8N, and the first one, which has 100 million plus download, you need to download this thing. So when you're saying download, you need to pull this thing. Okay, so you can go here, click on the file. Since I have already done it, I don't have to pull it again. So when you're doing it for first time, please click on pull. Once you have pulled it, it will take around 5 to 7 minutes to download the image on your local machine, or which is your Docker desktop as a tool. So once you have the image loaded, you can see the image on images section under the Docker desktop. So since I already have it, so I can see it like this. In your image section where you have installed, you can click on this one, run. When you click on run, it will ask you to make a new container. When you're doing it for the first time, you have to set it up with the correct folder and the port number. You can see optional settings. Click on the folder and then give a name. So I have already created one, and for demo purpose I'll just create a sample. First is, this can be any kind of name you would like to name a container. Next is host port. This is very important. The host port has to be 5678. This is the port where N8N executes its workflows and the programs. Next is the host path. This is the place where you have to insert the folder which you just now created. As I made my own folder, and then you can do the same from your side. Once you have done everything, you just need to click on run. Please don't enter any environment variables yet. Once your container is created and you have done the steps correctly, you can go to containers and you can see the container getting created with a distinct container ID. This ID will be very important because when you have to update your N8N with a new version, this container ID will be used. And you can also see within this container what image is being deployed and at what port number, because this is the port number which is required for N8N. So once you see this container has been created and you don't see any kind of error, please click on start. This will start the container with the image of N8N. So let's click on start. So if you see, I just started it and it has started consuming memories and my CPU percentage. Also, to know more details about the status of your container and if the image is running, click on the container and you can see the log files. So we need to get the proper permission that there are no errors and the local host is good to go. So it took 19 seconds to run the entire image, and once you see this file, this editor is not accessible in this location. Please click on the link here. So once your local host is set up correctly and your link is opening, it will look something like this. You can customize your theme and the color, but it open up like an empty workflow, and on top you can see different options, a save menu, and this is where all the triggers and the workflows are located. Also, please note, as long as your instance is running in your Docker, this will work. As soon as your instance in your Docker has been stopped or the container is stopped, this link won't work. Let's see. Okay, so I am in my Docker where I executed the image. Now I will stop this container, which means I also stop the image, and we can see if we can still access the N8N in the local host. If you see on the bottom, it takes some time to stop and we wait for the message to say it's done. So since we stop the container and our N8N host on our local host has also stopped, it won't respond. So till we switch it back again, it won't be reflecting here. So now we activate it again or start it again. So the local host has again is accessible now since we just restarted our container. So if you go back to our link again, we can see the local host again working. So, so we are back here and we can see our workflows and our automation is again accessible back now. So as we activated it again, we are able to access N8N in our local host now. Also, to just the UI is pretty straightforward and simple. On your right side, you see a plus sign. This is where you start. You can drag or just click on the things, and it will show up here like like a component. And on your left side, you can see something called personal. This is so before you leave, it will ask you to save. Currently, we're not saving it. And then this is where you can see all your workflows, your credentials, and the log of your executions. So ideally in the place of workflow, you can see all the workflows which has been saved by you. In the credentials tab, you can see all the credentials that are being implemented and installed. Since we are using a self-hosted version, we don't have the option of using SSO or single sign-on. And then last one is the execution. It just gives you log of all the automations or all the workflows that has been executed, how much time it has run, and the execution ID. This execution ID is very useful because you can refer to it to go back to a previous version. Also, you can make a new folder by clicking on this folder icon, and you can save your workflows in a particular hierarchy. To make a new workflow is pretty straightforward. You can see the workflow on your top right, and if you click on it, it will open up to a new workflow, and then you can save it. If you want to share it, it has to be in the form of a JSON file or through a Python. So I hope this video was helpful for every user. You're now able to install N8N in your local machine and ready for automation and AI. In our next video, we'll go through some real use cases where we practically try to create something similar, where we use workflows, automation triggers, and the power of AI. If you have any kind of questions or any kind of doubts, please feel free to put in your comments and I'll try to answer. Till then, have a happy learning.